Good Wednesday afternoon. So what are you doing on today? Well, it's Wednesday here.
I was on the call back to back since morning, and that's why I was late a little bit. Just
Oh,
finished a call with one of the big restaurant group in the US. So
wonderful.
yeah, so trying to board them on our platform. So just having a lot of discussions, but it's all good. Yeah, it's pretty hot, Wednesday afternoon, and COVID cases are rising. Everything's trying to open up for their business, and a lot of things going on.
And Ketul, we went today and we went to a lot of transactions between between China and US. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure what kind of platform she's using, but she's basically from Chengdu, which is one of the biggest cities in China, and she is right now in LA. But she is a student of which university? Women you study?
Berkeley.
Berkeley. But she's visiting his friends in LA right now because of the situation. So she's
Mm-hmm.
enjoying and studying, and then all doing a lot of transactions between China and US. So what do you suggest to Vivian?
What kind of transaction is she do?
She might be taking a lot of money from the parents, or maybe giving the money to the parents.
Oh, okay. So it's like a personal transaction. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. So basically,
but
like,
before that, but Ketul, before that, you have to introduce yourself to our viewers, and then we'll take the call.
yeah, sure. So I work with a company called Shiji Group. It's a mainland China company originally, but it's a worldwide, providing a payment platform, payment processing, and a lot of products for lodging, retail, restaurants, businesses, and in the US, like I'm handling all their like sales and the solution engineering side. So that is what I do, and we mainly like focusing on the credit card payments. So any customer who needs the credit card payment processing for their businesses, then we'll definitely help. And we have like a lot of partners and vendors that we work with. So we have like trying to give the combined package solution to all the merchants out there. And that is
So
exactly,
Wonderful.
so many people are involved because I know I've got friends that are artists and entertainers, and they're always involved with Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and those guys. So what do
yep.
y'all do that is better than them that would make folks switch from those platforms? Because like I said, everybody, whenever I hear people making transactions, they're always wanting to go to those big three. There might be others as well, but definitely those are the big three that they're always telling me that, if I got a transaction, do it through one of those three. So what about your
Yep.
platform would be better?
Yeah. So my platform is not like straight competition with them. Basically, like, it's a helping them. Like, for example, let's say if you want to pay for your Subway sandwich through your Venmo app, right? You can't pay that today.
Right.
Nobody accept that. So what we do is like we basically try to integrate with Venmo. So let's say for example Starbucks, right? So Starbucks is our customer. So if you wanted to pay your Venmo, meaning Starbucks coffee through your Venmo account, you can still do through us. So we can basically tie up between like Venmo and the Starbucks and have a payment integration layer. So that is what we do now, basically with a lot of partners that we have in the industry, and try to have a better experience for the payment to the the customer. And that is exactly also we also have a products like for example if you go to the any hotel like lodging and you see their the system PMS system sitting on their desk, right? So now that system also we build. So we also have our own system that they can use, and then we tie up with First Data, Chase, Bank of America, Alavon, Thesis. If you're familiar with all those processors in the US, then we basically collaborate with them. So take the transaction from the hotel, process through their processor. So we are like very open partnership with all the different vendors, and not only in the US but all over the world. So like in Hong Kong, Australia, India, everywhere. So we have like all the partners. The company is pretty global, big. So it's kind of like a wide ranges of the products and services that we offer. So
Sounds great.
anybody,
It sounds
yeah,
great because I know I've run into that problem before where somebody has wanted to send me money on one of those platforms, and either my debit card or something else that I was using might not be part of the ones that are in their chain, or
Yep.
the person that was sending me might not have been in that chain either. So we kind of like lost it because there was no middleman. So it sounds like y'all are serving as the middleman to make sure that the transaction can happen.
Yep, exactly. So, like for example, I'll give you the example. Like, let's say you have a debit card from so and so country. Like, that might not work in the U.S. So now, how do you process in the U.S.? Then the whole point is like, let's say if we have a tie up with the different, the merchants out there, right, and we can explain them that this is the widely, this range is like very famous, all over the world. Like for example, if you heard about like the Alipay, WeChat Pay in China, right? So that is like in like 3-4 years ago, like nobody was accepting that payment method in the US because it was pretty new and nobody knows how to do that. Now everybody's trying to help, and give the Chinese customer help, shopping in the US. So we have those bins are open, we have that process is open. So same thing, like if tomorrow, like some new bin ranges comes in the market, that we have to make sure that it's widely acceptable in all over the place. So that is what we do, try to integrate with like so and so partner, and work with this vendor and the other side vendor, and try to make sure that I can take this card payment. So
Right.
that is exactly what the process that we do. And there are like lot of like new ways of payment that is come up, like if you know like a QR code payments, and
Yep.
all those like apps. They're like every merchant has their own app, like if it's a pot belly sandwich, if it's Subway, Starbucks. So why like customer have to like download all this app, right, and then do their, like, just imagine like it's a normal business, right? For you it's like you have to download like hundreds of apps to do your local shopping. So if you know that like Apple just recently came up with a Cash App that they have, and that works without even installing the other app. So basically, you can pay through the Apple Wallet and Apple Card all over
Right.
the place. So that is
But but
exactly.
but Ketul, the question is that Vivan is having some dollars in Apple Pay, and now she wants to transfer that money to her parents in China. So what do you suggest?
For Apple Pay,
Yeah, so Apple Pay works in all over the place, right? So it's from one account to the other account, you can easily transfer. Or there are a lot of other apps too, like there's a lot of financial apps that you can transfer money, like uh, Zoom, and like I was reading yesterday there was one more app, I forgot the name, but it starts with P, and that is also like a new payment platform that they introduce, which is also like you can transfer the money to their country. So basically now what Venmo is doing, right? Venmo is like basically setting up the sender and the receiver account on Venmo app, and you can easily transfer from one to the other without even going through the bank. It's just like they have their own bank which is holding the money on the back end. But other than that, it's just like easily transfer money. And there are like a lot of new companies out there. But the easy way is like the Apple Cash, that you can easily transfer from one to the other, because everyone have Apple account, whoever using iPhone. So that is the easy way to do that.
Are there any apps that are like Hootsuite or something like that where you can integrate the various banking apps in one area? I know Hootsuite is more like a social media site that you can like, have Twitter, Facebook, and all those on the same. But just like you said, there's so many financial apps. You may have PayPal, you may have Venmo, you may have Cash App, and they all take time on your phone. So is there any kind of like app that you're aware of that you can integrate all of those apps into one designation?
So that is like it's been like a very challenging topic, and we have been discussing on this topic for like last 6 years. But to integrate with all those different platform is a challenge, because first of all, like they don't want to share their data with somebody else, right, or the third party integrator. So that's a bit challenge here, like that, oh, work with like Starbucks, let's say for example Starbucks app, right, to get their entire data, their loyalty program, everything, and like try to help the customer. So like let's say for example, if you have a Apple Cash App, right, and you want to pay that uh, Cash App on your Starbucks, but you wanted to use or get the loyalty program as well or loyalty points, basically you can't do that because it's a two separate platform and none of them wanted to share that data with each other. So it's a bit challenge. And that's why like a lot of like gateway providers in the market, like what they do is like, let's say for example the company called ABC, it's just an example, it's a gateway provider and they have a lot of wide ranges of the customers, um, like all the lodging industries or restaurants and all. So wherever that ABC company is sitting there as a gateway, you can design that app and that app will work all the locations regardless of the restaurants or all. But then if you don't have that ABC company sitting there, then it's a bit challenge. So it's always like it's a very touchy topic that everybody's wanted to integrate, like have a one app. And that's why recently that Apple came up with the app that that you don't they trying to like integrate with all those different app, like for example the Lime scooters, right, where you get that the rental scooters. So what
Yeah.
what Apple do is like that company has to register that app on the Apple platform, right? And then the user, like I'm like customers like me that I have iPhone, I don't need to download that app
Yeah,
because I have Apple is gonna access everything on the back end. So I can still open that Apple app and that I can rent a scooter, take the payment, Apple Pay, taking care of the payments, and on the back end, Apple communicates to the Lime app. So technically, that is exactly your question that Apple is trying to solve these days. That they come up with it, so you don't need to download all those bunch of apps. You can still use it, and they keep partnership with all these different vendors in the market that they can partner with the Apple and have that. So technically, like let's say I have an app like Venmo, for example.
Mhm.
So it's a bad example like Venmo and Apple Pay, but just give you the example. If Venmo trying to partner with Apple, then you don't need Venmo app. Apple will take care of
yeah,
everything from your phone. So that is exactly like when Apple is using Venmo's platform to transfer the money, but technically as a customer, like you only see Apple at the front. You don't
Yeah,
see
because I know
anything
when
what is happening.
yeah, because I know when I go to restaurants, it seems like that's what you see most of. You see, there may be some PayPal, but I know I see Apple and I definitely see Google. And the Google Pay system oftentimes is the ones that they're accepting, and definitely some folks have that and some folks don't. So I'm just wondering, what do you see as are those the only popular ones? The ones I mentioned, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and Google Pay, or there's some others that folks need to be looking at as well.
So like it depends on like a merchant, so there are definitely like all these apps are like very famous, right? But it depends on like merchant. Like for example, I gave you this the Starbucks example, right? So Starbucks have their own app and own credit card ranges or like
Mhm.
the loyalty program and all. So technically they encourage customer to use their app rather than Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or Google Pay. Same thing for Marriott or same thing for Hyatt or all that. They all have their own app and they all have their own payment processing, right? So they try to you know avoid the Apple Pay and all that because then Apple Pay charge money to the customer to process the transaction. So it depends like who we are talking about. Like if it's a big customers like a shark in the industry, then they have their own, right? If you talk about like normal mom and pop shop, obviously they want to accept all modes of payments because you don't know like what kind of customer you have, right? So technically they want like, oh, we can accept Apple Pay, we can accept Google Pay, Samsung Pay, you can pay through your Venmo, you can pay through QR code or contactless or your the credit cards or chip in or tap the credit card or manually enter or swipe. So they have all bunch of like modes that is open. So they can take the payment at the end, like their goal is to take the payment so they survive. They can't say no to someone like you saying like, oh, you wanted to pay through your Apple Pay but we don't accept that, sorry. They don't want to say that. So it depends on who we are talking and what kind of customer it is. If it's a big, they have their own payment platform and they want their customized solution. If it's like a mid layer or lower tier, then they are open for everything. And depends on the region, like where your business is set. Like for example, let's say your business is set in Niagara Falls where a lot of tourists comes, or like in Miami or in New York. right? Then you have to open up your system for the Chinese customers like Alipay, WeChat, or in future like Indian customers if they come up with something, some kind of a card or the payments. So you have to make sure that you take those payments. Otherwise, you have to say no to those customers, and that's losing money. So exactly, that's a point.
Yeah, because it's been interesting, even here in the United States, watching because we got those stimulus checks. They're saying there's going to be a second batch of stimulus checks, and of course, people because of the COVID and what's been going on in the world have been collecting unemployment. So a lot of those are actually put on Bank of America cards here in North Carolina, or they're put on other national banks, but they are actually actually run by excuse me, they're run by the state. So the state is literally putting the money into the account and then hoping that you're going to spend it on things that you need, like food, electricity, the basic survival needs. Now, if you decide you're going to want to go out there and buy a fancy game or a fancy toy, that's on you, because I don't think that they're necessarily punishing you if you do that, but they're hoping that that's not what you're going to do, that you're actually
Yep.
going to use it for survival. But there are like folks that are having to take these cards, merchants, because they're seeing these cards that, they used not to get that many of because there weren't that many people on unemployment. And now we're like at 12% or something like that.
Yep. And that is exactly like your example, right? The North Carolina, they have two biggest headquarters there, right? Bank of America and Wells
Yes.
Fargo, right? So majority of the merchants out there, they either they go with Bank of America or Wells Fargo as a merchant service provider. So they both have to come up with their card or their system, which is like easily acceptable everywhere. Like for example, now if most of the debit cards from Bank of America also has a chip in it,
Yes.
or like most of the credit card also supports contactless, like where
Right.
RFID kind of pay, like you just tap and go. So they have to come up because now after the COVID, right, everyone's wants to pay through their contactless. They don't want to touch the system, they don't want to put the passwords and all that or signature and all. So they want this kind of system where they just like tap and you're good to go, or like pay through your phone, right,
Right.
on Apple Pay and stuff. So that is exactly what the bank is also changing, that way to have that card is more available for all these like smart payments. So I just received the new Bank of America card, which is like the contactless enable, and they have a chip. So basically you're good to go with any merchant out there, right? All you have to do is like tap and go. So that is a new way of seeing the business. And like who is your majority customers out there? That is as I said, like in North Carolina, like Bank of America is a widely popular, that because the headquarters there, so their business is like across that entire state, and that is exactly what their goal is. So it's lot like COVID makes like things easy for the payments, because everyone was thinking about this contactless payment and all those different payments, but they said like that, oh, it takes time, and it takes like a little bit time to adopt that system. But now after COVID is like everything expedite, and people started like taking all these payments.
I don't know if you saw the question that the listener, I think, was asking you and everything, but it was, what's the ideal payment ecosystem for a global brand? Of course, Enki doesn't have to worry about that because we know Enki is independently wealthy and he doesn't have to worry about credit cards and things of that nature. But for those that are not independently wealthy like Enki, what's the ideal payment ecosystem?
Yeah, so meaning like if I understand the question correctly, is like ideal payment ecosystem for a global brand, meaning like the contactless, right? That is a payment method that is like now very popular all over the place. And basically like let's say you have a Chase Sapphire card, right? So that one card works in the entire world. I'm not like advertising any card or any bank system here, but that one card works everywhere, and you don't need to worry about whether to tap the card or whether to chip the card or swipe the card. So basically like that is what the bank should come up with, the card that works all over the place, not like on specific region. And on my last session, like I mentioned that like some of the banks that came up with the card, that international card that's supposed to work, but they don't know that what's how the payment works in the different country. And and majority customers are facing that issue that their card doesn't work, in other countries or other states. So that is what exactly what the the plan is, that come up with a bank that actually easily acceptable all over the world. And that's why I gave that example. How are you,
Hey,
sir?
Nick, you're over here, and I saw you flashing something called IBM.TV credit. Are we going into the
I was
credit business?
thinking maybe we should get our own credit situation going here and do IBM TV credit. On a more mundane note, though, can your company can open up bank accounts? Something so mundane as a bank account, or is that something beyond the scope of what you do?
That is actually out of scope what we do, because we are not the financial firm there, right? So we can't really hold the money. So basically we have to tie up with the other banks, to hold their money on our
Okay.
behalf, right? And then all we do is like processing. But
Okay.
because it's a different guideline, when you go into that financial zone,
Right.
then you
Yeah,
have to.
yeah, different set of rules.
It's a
Can
different
we
set
have
of.
our own credit card, IBM TV credit, private label our own credit card?
Do we have
No,
IBM TV?
can we do that?
Yeah,
Can be.
that is, you can definitely, that's why I said, like, the partner with the bank that
Okay.
works all over the world
Okay.
and come up with the card, and which basically, like, hold the money on your behalf. That bank is holding the money, and
Right.
all you have to do is like take the payment.
Right.
So, like, for example, like, there's certain cards have a higher transaction fee
Sure.
than
Yeah.
the other card, so you have to make sure that your card won't have that higher transaction fee. Otherwise customers say, no,
So
I don't want to
basically,
I don't want to take your
so
IBM
that,
TV
Right.
card because they have to
Yeah,
pay
because
too
of the
much.
transaction fee. No, I
Yeah.
understand. Okay.
but Ketul, that means you have to negotiate on behalf of us to the banks.
Uh, I I'll try definitely. I don't know like what the guideline that they have. We have to understand that business, right? The first that how, like, for example, if like the gift cards, right? So all the gift card has so many different ranges, and anybody can take any range. Like, for example, if you want IBM TV gift card, right, you can go to, like, in America there is a SVS, GiveX, and Value Link cards, the
Yeah.
brands. They make all the gift cards. So if you go to any stores, you see like that bunch of gift cards, floating there, like, it's a Cheesecake Factory, or it's like Papa John's or Starbucks, all the gift cards. You can customize your range. Like, for example,
Yeah.
start your card with like 4421, or 44 is a Visa range, but anything other than, like, let's say starts with 8 ranges, right? That's your, you can design for your IBM TV card. So gift card is easily available, but the credit card is a, we have to understand with the bank, like, we can discuss and, like, open up a questions with them and try to understand, like, how do we have a uh, IBM TV personalized credit card,
My
but
question with the gift card is, I know for a fact that a lot of times the gift card is what folks use that are like those world infamous scammers and things of that nature. So, what kind of ways can we have to kind of like protect ourselves from those? Because they're notorious for preying on folks that they may think may be vulnerable, and then they want to get them to send. Usually, they have to send astronomical amounts, and most people are smart enough to do that, not do that, but then they might go for the lower amounts, and folks may be a little bit more prone to do that. So, how are there any protective ways with the gift cards that we can stop that if we decide to get an IBM TV gift card?
hmm So, gift card, like, like, it was very popular topic last year, like, before the COVID, because first of all, like, your gift card is not linked with your credit cards or your bank account. So that is way, like, it's a safer way to pay your, transaction through the gift card. And a lot of, like, card on file and all that, like, where you have your card on, you store in the website, right? Like, there are always a risk that when you store actually your uh, direct debit card, which is like a very high risk transaction, because anybody can hack that system, and, like, it's directly linked to your bank account and takes the money and is gone. But the gift card is like, whatever, let's say you have like a $500 in your gift card, then the max anybody can steal is a $500, because other than that, you're not liable. So that's why a lot of parents also, like, the kids, like, or the children, they give the gift card, which is exactly look like a credit card, but
Mhm.
it's a gift and it has like certain money in it, so that is all they can spend. Other than that is gone. So the gift card was very popular at that time, but now especially like the credit cards are like you can easily block, you easily stop the payments. They will take care any fraud happen. So there are like a lot of advantages that credit card company come up with. So now it's a again like the tight competition between the gift and the credit cards, like how, because like for example like the financial institute, like they want you to use credit card so they
Right.
can charge the interest. So they are like, don't worry about if anything happened, like we'll take care. Or sometimes like you call them and you say like, oh, this $20 I never spent, I don't know who spent it, and they're like, oh, don't worry, we'll take care. So they just like remove that $20, probably they take that $20 on there, but they want you to use a credit card rather
Yeah.
than you go with somebody else. And that is what a lot of like companies are nowadays come up with this solution. So I would say like that IVM TV credit card, if we come up with like first of all, like it has to have a less transaction fee, and the card should be acceptable all over the world, right? So we
So,
had to
so
cover.
Ketul, the idea is that we wanted to issue some gift cards or some kind of card to our board of advisors around the world, and
Mhm.
that's the plan basically. And then maybe from there we can take it forward to other plans.
So
But the
gift card
basic plan
is
is to
easy.
have, yeah.
Yeah, so gift card is very easy. Like, there is a company out there, as I said, right? Value Link, GiveX, SVS, which is very like widely open their business in America. So you can use those card as a gift card, right? You can order like those certain ranges, and then all you have to do is like activate the card and start giving to whoever like that they can use, because those cards are easily acceptable everywhere. Like Starbucks accept Value Link cards, so you can go to Starbucks and you can use that card as a gift card and it will work. So that is easy way to do that, you know.
I
And
That's
you
have
don't.
wonderful.
an
And I think we will have a question for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Yes,
think,
Vivian.
yeah, do you think will there be an app in the USA like the Alipay in China that's
Yeah. So
dominating, that convenient, everybody using it anywhere, doing
that is
paying for anything?
exactly, we don't have any app like Alipay or WeChat in China, because it's a social platform, as well as widely acceptable everywhere, right? And everybody's using, and that Alipay has like a lot of other features we don't have in the US. But that is what Venmo and other companies are going towards, that route. So like you can on Venmo, it's actually a social platform. You can actually like somebody's transaction and comment also on there, like saying like, oh, thank you for paying me, or you
Mm-hmm.
know
Right.
so
Right.
Venmo is also try to partner with all these other environments, so like you can pay through Venmo. Same thing for Apple. Apple is also like trying to have that one social platform where you go there and you have everything available. But nothing like Alipay, WeChat we have in here, but we are going in that trend. So probably like within couple of years you will see a app which works all over the place, kind of, or majority on the big businesses.
Do you think Bitcoins would be something close to that? Because I know Bitcoins was also trying to do like that social aspect, and some people are into that. So I've never got into it, but I know friends were trying to push me into learning about Bitcoins and some of those other things. So what is your take on those?
Bitcoins is like a invisible ghost, as I said, because you don't see that, right? That people accept that, or some of them. But there are group of people that who accepts Bitcoin as a payment, but it's not, still like it's not a widely acceptable all over the place. So I would say like as I said, like it's an invisible ghost until you see them. Once they appears and you will try to understand, and probably that time people started accepting that. But at this moment, no. At this moment, like the hot topic is the Venmo and Apple. That is what they are dominating, try to dominate this payment world. And everybody's like trying to, oh, use my card, use my Visa card, use my
Yeah.
MasterCard, I have a Master Pass, I have my Visa checkout, I have my Samsung Pay, use this, use that. But at the end, and like Apple users are more, so they are like dominating that. Oh, I have this app, try to use it, which will work everywhere. And then everybody's like forcefully try to use that app. And then that is exactly how they do, like Apple Cash, right? Everybody's try to use it when they came up. But at the end, like Apple users are more, so they are like dominating that. Oh, I have this app, try to use it, which will work everywhere. And then everybody's like forcefully try to use that app. And then that is exactly how they do, like Apple Cash, right? Everybody's try to use it when they came up. people used to do the PayPal in the past to transfer the money, and then Venmo came up. Is obviously it's a PayPal brand, but
Right.
Venmo came up with that. But then Apple came up with the app Cash, and then people started using that because it's a widely acceptable, and a lot of people have iPhone. So that is the thing, like that's so answer to her question, that you will see in couple of years like something like Alipay or WeChat will definitely be in US. uh, and and the app world is going to go crazy, day by day. Everybody wants to go, like your mobile phone is your point of sale system going
Yes.
forward. So you don't need to have that, all those like fancy big system, like all you have your your phone and you're good to go. Because everything is like, I know you, and this is what my tagline, I always refer, I know you and I know how to take money from you. And that is exactly what they want. They don't want your plastic card and your check and your all that stuff. All they need is you're the guarantee on that. And that is what they're going to come up with.
Yeah, 'cause the other thing I noticed is I noticed that some of the people are actually lessening their fees, because I know that became an issue when folks would want to send me money, say through PayPal, and I know that some of the apps would be charging you like a certain percentage, either on your end or on the giver's end, or one end or the other. But I have noticed that that seems to be less, so they seem to be getting away from that, or at least not charging as much. So, am I correct in thinking that they are trying to get away from those fees and everything?
Yeah, so there are two topics here. Like, one is the credit card payments, right? So they are trying to reduce their transaction fee, and like, all these like setup costs and this cost and that cost. So basically they want customers merchant account on their system, and they want to charge like a very minimum transaction fee so that customers stick with them, or the merchant. Basically, when I say customer, is a merchant, stick with them, as a business. Same thing for the financial, like who wants to send money from US to India or somewhere else, right? The lot of companies in the past, like Zoom and all, they takes like almost like 3 to 5 days to transfer money from one place to the other account, and they charge like 5.99 or 6.99 at that time. Then they reduced to 4.99, and now they are trying to reduce to 2.99 and immediate transfer. So like if you send somebody the money to their bank account through Zoom, it takes like literally like 20 minutes from transfer to one to the other account, and the
Right.
fees is like 2.99. So they also try to like partner. And now there is one more app that I was mentioning, who's also doing exactly same as Zoom. They have like the first some like $10,000 or something that is like free, like it's free. Basically you can transfer without any fee, and they give you the higher rate too. So basically they take that percentage out of it. Like let's say if I wanted to send $100 to Ankit, right? Probably the rate is like India rate is like 74.15, right? So what they do is like they offer like 74.12, and they only take 3 cents. But basically they want you to start using that app. So initially they just take like 3 cents, but then going forward they're gonna charge a little bit more. But that is all like competition, right? Whoever gives the better rate, and the better solution or faster way of payments, like that's win the business. And that is exactly is happening now.
No,
Yep.
thanks.
But
That
Ketul, I
shares a
think
lot.
as the industry works, basically it's more about the industry wants you to do more transactions so that they can get more number of turnovers, and then on that they can make money. Basically, that's the trend, and I
Exactly.
think it's growing like anything. And it's not about USA, but it's very popular around the world now, and a lot of economies are converting digitally, basically. So
Yep.
maybe we can talk about digital economies in the next show. That how many economies are converting digitally, and what the prospect in next 2025, because right now you might be focusing on the US market, but there is a bigger market which is still untapped, and they don't do that much amount of transaction. Let's say Africa. So Africa, they have some, I mean, PayPal and all those things, but they are not doing as efficiently as US is doing. And if the African continent, they have 52 countries. So I think the world is still bigger, but we need to come up with an ecosystem. That's what my question is. That what is the ideal ecosystem for a global brand who operates from all over the world using a single pay or using a multiple pay option, something like that.
Definitely, yeah. And as you mentioned, like, the Africa part, right? So because the government is forcing now to, instead of using those dirty money, right? The paper money, like, they are forcing to start using like more, contactless and apps. So yeah, definitely we can. That's a good topic. Like we can discuss that on the next session about like how the global economy like impact with that the money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mark, you have some questions?
No, I was actually just thinking about how I had some friends. We were actually doing a fellowship, and we were getting paid. And actually, I got paid quicker than they did because I was on PayPal. And so, like I said, I think I got my money, and the other person was on PayPal. But for some reason, the folks who were on Cash App had a harder time, and I'm still not sure what that was about. But it did seem like they were having a harder time. They did. I think everybody's been paid, but they took a little bit longer the transaction process. So, is there something between PayPal and Cash App that makes Cash App a little bit longer in the process that you're aware of?
It's depend like who's the third party integrated with Cash App and the Venmo. As I said, like Venmo is a PayPal, and PayPal is very widely acceptable already. So they are basically like take the payment, they hold their account, so immediately like you will see the fund on your account, because they don't care. As soon as they receive the money, they
Mm-hmm.
will deposit to your account faster, because the PayPal is tie up with those entity. Cash App is still new, so it depends on like how the tie up. Probably they have to go through from one bank to the other bank, and then Cash App takes. So the process takes a little bit longer. So it depends on like the financial industry, like who's actually how they integrate it basically. And there are a
Yeah.
lot of hidden part on the payment. As I said, like payment people don't understand when you pay on that particular location how that transaction goes from that location all the way to your bank. Nobody has any idea,
Mm-hmm.
because it go through so many channels, so many people are holding their funds. And so sometimes it's faster, sometimes it takes a little longer. It depends on how they integrated with it at the back end. So if you have like 2 3 gateways in between, then it takes like 5 to 7 days to get that money reaches to your account. If it's directly like the merchant account is taking the payment and process, then it takes like probably 24 hours to take the fund reaches to your account. So it depends on like how you integrate it and what's the back end system is. I don't have like that clear understanding how the Cash App works with your uh, the financial institute, but it, as I said, like it depends on how they integrate it, and that is very very normal, that
Yeah,
it
and
takes.
that makes sense because it sounds like they probably don't have the same integration. I know I had it tied into my bank, and yeah, as soon as they went from the person that was paying us, it was
Yep.
like in my account in a matter of minutes or hours, and